Hannah, as we've said before, Brett Baty continues to really struggle after having an impressive spring. Do you think this is a skill issue? Is this a mental issue? Is it a pressure issue? What do you think is happening with Brett Baty?
I have to think, I don't know what's going on in Brett Baty's head, but I have to think that this is a little bit of a mental issue that's becoming an approach issue. If you just look at the numbers, like he's had a significant number of at bats, both in the minors and in the majors. Okay, I have some numbers, so I'm going to be looking down real quick. In the minors, more than 1,400 plate appearances. He's slashing he's got an OPS of 889 in spring training this year. We saw he had an OPS over 1,000 slash 353, 441, 745. That's a decent sample size between the minors and what he did in spring this year. And then you look at what he's done in the majors, which is now over 600 plate appearances, and that's where guys do start to calcify, and you got to get a more real sense of who they are. Slashing 210, 275, 317, and that's across several years. So it really does feel like there is a gap in what he's able to do when the games quote unquote don't matter versus when they do. And it does feel like we've reached a point where the pressure is inevitable. We know that he's getting a chance now because McNeil is hurt, and this might be his last chance. He's out of options. So there's not it's inevitable that he is feeling some amount of pressure. And what we're seeing is he's either succumbing to that pressure or he's changing his approach because he feels that pressure. And that's so it all goes back to it has to be mental in some capacity because he's just not able to translate the success that he's having at these lower levels and in spring training into major league games when there is this shorter timeline, more intense pressure, and he's running out of both literal and sort of figurative options with the Mets.
Yeah, it seems like, especially with the top of the order, the offense clicking for the most part, it seems like Baty's bat is the bigger issue. So, Will, what do you think the Mets will do if Baty doesn't improve by the time Jeff McNeil returns? Because it feels like if he doesn't hit, he's not going to stay in that role.
He can't. He just can't, to be completely simple about it. It's just not going to work. And look, it may not even work for Luis Angel Acuna for that matter if he doesn't get going either. Acuna is a little bit different because he offers some speed and a little bit better defense at some different positions. Second base, shortstop, third base. He could play center field as well even. So he could do a little bit differently, but he may need some time in AAA to just get more at-bats as well and play every day. So I don't know. I'm not looking for Brett Baty to get demoted or anything before Jeff McNeil returns. I don't think that's going to be an option. They're not going to do that to his confidence and disrupt it any further. But once McNeil returns, and if Baty has not gotten going, I think that the Mets would be better served to add a veteran even to that mix and add somebody who's also a right-handed bat as well, because you don't necessarily need Brett Baty as a left-handed bat if you have Jeff McNeil there. So I look at it that way as far as, like Hannah said, he has not shown us that he could handle major league pitching, at least not on a consistent level at all yet. So I don't think he has much to prove in AAA necessarily because the numbers show us that he's done fairly well every single time. And same thing with spring training. He's done that. He's aced those tests in some ways, but it just has not clicked here. So I don't know, maybe they look to even move him in a trade or give him a change of scenery and maybe get some more pitching or something like that in return. I don't know. It's an unfortunate situation for him because he does have that talent. And when you hear Carlos Mendoza or David Stearns talk about him, they bring it up because it's not a fabrication. It's not fake. It's real. This guy has gotten to this point because he is who he is, and he's a talented kid and somebody that has been talented his whole life at this. And so it's unfortunate. I do think that he has raised the question of whether a change of scenery is needed, especially if he does not get going in these next couple of weeks. But again, for him, it's been a series of 25 at-bats. So I know the numbers look ugly right now, but I say we give him another week or two, especially since McNeil is still going to be out for a little while before we make that determination.